Hello and welcome to the channel. So in today's video we'll be going through my InvestEngine portfolio, the fully managed portfolio, um, and we'll be touching base upon how it's performed, what they invest in, what their fees are, and whether you should consider using InvestEngine. Firstly, I'm not a financial advisor, so I can't really say whether you should or not, but the reality is that I've invested in InvestEngine and it's up to you whether you want to do it or not, based on the performance that they've done here. And it depends on what your goals are and what you want to do, but just thought I'd show my experience, how much I've invested, what the results are, and yeah, so let's dive straight into it. So I invested £6,000 back in December 21. I've actually benchmarked it there, December 21, commencing 6,000. So it's one of those where the net contributions are 6,000, and they have invested in the S&P 500 and various other funds. Now, the good thing about this particular platform is that they generally invest in ETFs, so they don't really, you can't buy any shares. With this being fully managed, InvestEngine deal with everything themselves. So they buy the ETFs, they sell the ETFs. You don't really get involved with any of the day-to-day management. That's the whole point of it being fully managed. During the period of time that I've had it since December 21, they generally do inform me of the rebalancing. So they'll say, for example, we've sold X, Y, and Z, we've sold the S&P 500 and we've bought something else. They have bought and sold quite a lot. I remember they did have the S&P 500 to begin with, and they sold it and then they bought it back again. I think it was a bit of a difficult time in December 21 because it was at the time when the bear market crash happened. So it would be a bit harsh to say that they've purchased the wrong sort of ETFs. I don't really blame them for that because of the fact that what's occurred. And during that period of time, it was more of limiting the damage that's already been caused. So it was a matter of just rebalancing the portfolio to ensure that it doesn't dip as much as it should. Because I remember the S&P 500, the Vanguard Basic one went down, the VUSA went down by about 15-20% from what I can gather. Because I've also invested in that, and we'll dive into that in a few of the videos. So this is what they've invested in. As you could see, the majority of the actual ETFs are invested in shares, so they've invested in equities. You've got 2.1% invested in bonds and 2% in cash. Now, the overall value doesn't look good because it's down by minus 7.46%. Now, previously, it's been down as high as 20%. That from what I can gather, it has been down extremely. It has been down quite a bit. I don't know if I could actually find it on here. No, it isn't. It isn't actually. I think if you play around with it, you might be able to check. But it shows you how much they've bought and sold on each sort of setting. So where the black dots are, that's when the rebalancing's taken place. This is that type of portfolio where I just chucked in 6k and just thought I'd see what happens, because at the time I was fairly new to investing. Well, kind of new to investing in index funds. So that's why I decided to go with a fully managed fund, because I had a initial dab in shares, and I just thought it was too much of a headache for me in terms of picking my own sort of shares and finding the balance sheets, looking at profit loss, that sort of thing wasn't really for me. So that's the reason why I decided to go with InvestEngine. I researched a few others as well, like Money Farm, Nutmeg, but InvestEngine seemed to be the cheapest one. They had good reviews. So let's wait and see what happens. I've only had it since December 21. I can't really say anything bad because overall we've been in a bear market, and I know the other sort of passive index funds in terms of the S&P 500 has performed really well in terms of responding to the bear market, and I have invested in that, and there's a big difference in terms of that being in profit and this being at a loss. But it is what it is. I'll do a comparison video as well. I'll do a video on my own portfolio in terms of what I picked myself, and also a portfolio of the individual shares as well, and I'll do a comparison in terms of the S&P 500 versus the managed fund versus InvestEngine. So I have invested in both the managed fund as well as the individual ETFs as well, and you can do a comparison. Thank you very much. Bye.